How are you guys doing? Today is Sunday, June 6th, 2021, out here in this quarantine. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I'm going to review the Elite matchups and performances from yesterday, Saturday, June 5th, 2021, and of course, I'm going to preview everything that's going on today as we navigate through the world of sports, one day at a time. Starting off with the NBA playoffs, there was only one playoff game yesterday. It was the first game one of the second round. In the Eastern Conference, the second seed Brooklyn Nets hosted the third seed Milwaukee Bucks. The Nets getting here after beating the Boston Celtics in 7. The Bucks here after sweeping the Miami Heat. Coming into this game, the Bucks have not lost a playoff game. They have not lost a playoff game this year. And in this matchup, the second seed Brooklyn Nets would beat the third seed Milwaukee Bucks 115-107. The big separation would come in the third quarter, where the Nets outscored the Bucks by 12 points. For the Milwaukee Bucks in this matchup, their leading scorer and the player that I thought was the best performer of the night was the Bucks' elite starting power forward, reigning back-to-back NBA MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo. Antetokounmpo would finish with 34 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 blocks, as well as 5 turnovers in 35 minutes, as he shot 16 for 24 from the field and 2 for 5 from 3. For the Brooklyn Nets in this matchup, their leading scorer was their goated starting power forward, Kevin Durant, out of Texas. He finished with 29 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, and a couple of blocks. The two-time NBA Finals MVP would shoot 12 for 25 from the field in 40 minutes. He shot 1 for 4 from 3 and a perfect 4 for 4 from the foul line. Alongside him in the starting lineup, their elite starting point guard out of Duke, Kyrie Irving, would finish with 25 points, 5 rebounds, and 8 assists in 45 minutes. He shot 11 for 26 from the field and 3 for 11 from 3 on the night. Their elite starting power forward out of Oklahoma, Blake Griffin, would finish with 18 points, 14 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 steals, as well as 6 personal fouls. So he fouled out in 35 minutes. He shot 7 for 13 from the field and 4 for 9 from 3. Their elite starting shooting guard, James Harden, would leave in the first minute after apparently pulling his hamstring. In the 1 minute he played, he finished with a rebound. With this win, the second seed Brooklyn Nets now lead this series 1-0. Game 2 will be played in Brooklyn. This game will be tomorrow on TNT for those of you who are curious. And then looking out to what's going on today, especially because it's a game 1 from the East, and it's also a game 7 from the West. At 1 o'clock today on ESPN, the 1 seed in the East, Philadelphia 76ers, are going to host the 5 seed Atlanta Hawks for a game 1 of the Eastern Conference semis. Hawks making it here after beating the 4 seed New York Knicks in 5 games, led by their elite young point guard Trae Young. 76ers making it here after beating the 8 seed Washington Wizards in 5 as well. It'll be interesting to see if Joel Embiid is at full strength today, but so right now that is one of the more eye-catching. It's one of the 4 eye-catching series coming up. And then at 3:30, it will be the Western Conference 4-5 games, or the game 7 between the 4 seed and the 4th seed Los Angeles Clippers are going to host the 5 seed Dallas Mavericks on ABC. This is game 7. So far, the away team has won all 6 of the games this series, and right now Dallas is the away team. Unless the Clippers want to break that streak, the winner of this series will face off against the number 1 seed Utah Jazz in the next round. So right now, that is what in the NBA playoff basketball is looking like, and also once the first round is over, I will come out with another episode of The Elite tomorrow. But with that said, staying within the arena, but switching the context to hockey for a little bit, jumping out to see what's going on in the NHL. There were 2 Stanley Cup playoff games yesterday. Right now, we're in the divisional final round. In the Central Divisional Final, the 3rd seed defending champs Tampa Bay Lightning were able to beat the 1 seed Carolina Hurricanes 6-4 after scoring 4 goals in the second period. Steven Stamkos and Kucherov would each get 2 goals for the Lightning. With this win, the Lightning now lead the series 3-1 over the 1 seed Carolina Hurricanes. The next game will be in Charlotte, but the Hurricanes virtually have to win their next 3 games if they want to advance to the next round. Jumping to the East Divisional Final, the 4 seed New York Islanders hosted the 3 seed Boston Bruins and were able to pull off a 4-1 win at home in order to tie the series. They scored 3 goals in the third period in order to tie it right back up. Series is tied at 2 as Game 5 will be played in Boston. It is effectively a best of 3 now that both teams have won 2 games. Looking out to what's going on today within the Stanley Cup playoff at 6 o'clock on NBC Sports Network, it is the North Division Final, Game 3, as the 4-seed Montreal Canadiens are going to host the 3-seed Winnipeg Jets. The 4-seed Montreal Canadiens currently lead this series 2-0, and they are playing their next 2 games at home, which could be a big advantage for them. The Jets have to win 4 games in this series in order to advance to the next round, whereas the Canadiens have to win 2. At 8:30 on the same network, on NBC Sports Network, it will be the West Division Final as the 2nd seed Las Vegas Golden Knights host the 1st seed Colorado Avalanche. The Avalanche actually lead this series 2-1. The Golden Knights look to even the series up at home before going back to Denver. Avalanche, with a win here, could be 1 win away from making it to the Stanley Cup semifinal. Right now, that is what NHL hockey is looking like. Taking a glance at what the MLB is looking like following yesterday's matchups. Starting off in Chicago on the south side, the Chicago White Sox hosted the Detroit Tigers, and the Tigers were able to beat the White Sox 4-3 in this matchup. For the Chicago White Sox, the start and the loss went to Lucas Giolito. Giolito would allow 4 earned runs in 7 innings pitched as he struck out 9. With this loss, Lucas Giolito is 5-5 as a starting pitcher for the Chicago White Sox. Their second baseman, Nick Madrigal, will go 2-for-4 with an RBI, and their third baseman, Yoan Moncada, will go 2-for-4 on the day. For the Detroit Tigers, the start and the win went to Tarik Skubal. He allowed 1 earned run in 5 innings pitched as he struck out 11. With this win, Tarik Skubal is now 3-7 on the season as a starting pitcher. And then the save will go to their 4th relief pitcher, Jose Cisnero. Jose Cisnero would allow no earned runs in 1 inning pitched as he struck out 1. With this save, Cisnero now has 1 save on the year. In their batting lineup, their future Hall of Fame designated hitter, Miguel Cabrera, will go 2-for-4 with an RBI and 2 runs. He hit his 5th home run of the season yesterday. Their left fielder, Eric Haas, would be the only other player on the Tigers with more than 1 hit. He went 2-for-4 with 3 RBIs and 2 runs as he hit his 6th and 7th home runs of the season yesterday. With this win, the Detroit Tigers are now 24-34. That is the 4th best record in the American League Central. They now trail the Chicago White Sox by 11 games in the division. The Detroit Tigers have now won 6 of their last 10 games. With this loss, the Chicago White Sox are now 35-23. That is the best record in the American League Central. They now sit 3 games ahead of the 2nd place Cleveland Indians. The White Sox have lost only 3 of their last 10 games. Jumping out to St. Louis, the St. Louis Cardinals hosted the Cincinnati Reds from within their own division. And after the after the 4th inning, score was tied at 2, but then the Reds would pull away to beat the Cardinals 5-2. For the St. Louis Cardinals in this matchup, the start will go to Johan Oviedo. Oviedo would allow 2 earned runs in 4 innings pitched as he struck out 4. The loss for St. Louis would go to their first relief pitcher, Ryan Helsley. He would allow 2 earned runs in 1.1 inning pitched as he was unable to strike out a batter. With this loss, Helsley is 3-4 as a relief pitcher on the season. They had 2 players with more than 1 hit. Their elite third baseman, Nolan Arenado, will go 3-4 with 2 RBIs, and then their left fielder, Tyler O'Neill, will go 2-4. For the Cincinnati Reds, the start and the win went to Tyler Mahle. He would allow 2 earned runs in 7 innings pitched as he struck out 8. With this win, Mahle is 5-2 as a starting pitcher, and the save will go to Lucas Sims, who allowed no earned runs in 1 inning pitched as he struck out 2. In their batting lineup, their second baseman, Jonathan India, will go 2-4 with an RBI and a run. He hit his 5th home run of the season. Their right fielder, Nick Castellanos, would go 2-5 on the day. Their elite third baseman, Eugenio Suarez, would end up going 1-4 with 2 RBIs and a run. He hit his 13th home run of the season. And with this win, the Cincinnati Reds are now 27-29. That is the 4th best record in the National League Central. They now trail the Milwaukee Brewers and the Chicago Cubs by 4 games in the division. The Reds have now won 6 of their last 10 games. With this loss, the St. Louis Cardinals are now 31-28. They sit a game and a half behind the Milwaukee Brewers and the Chicago Cubs in the division. The Cardinals have now lost 6 of their last 10 games. Jumping out to Buffalo, the Toronto Blue Jays hosted the Houston Astros. The Blue Jays were able to beat the Astros 6-2 as they scored all 6 of their runs in the 4th and 5th inning within that stretch. For the Houston Astros in this matchup, the start and the loss will go to Jose Urquidy. He would allow 6 earned runs in 4.1 innings pitched as he struck out 5. With this loss, Urquidy is now 4-3 as a starting pitcher for the Astros. In their batting lineup, their elite second baseman, Jose Altuve, will go 2-4. Their shortstop, Carlos Correa, would go 3-4 on the day. And then their right fielder, Kyle Tucker, would go 2-4. For the for the Toronto Blue Jays, the start and the win went to Ross Stripling. He allowed 1 earned run in 7 innings pitched as he struck out, or in 5 innings pitched, he struck out 4. With this win, Ross Stripling is 2-3 as a starting pitcher on the season. In their batting lineup, their second baseman Marcus Semien will go 2-for-4. Their elite first baseman Vladimir Guerrero Jr. would go 3-for-4 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs as he hit his 18th home run of the season. Their third baseman Joe Panik would go 2-for-4 with 3 RBIs and a run. And also Joe Panik hit his second home run of the season. With this win, the Toronto Blue Jays are now 30-26. That is the third best record in the American League East. They now sit 5 games behind the Tampa Bay Rays in the division. The Blue Jays have now won 7 of their last 10 games. With this loss, the Houston Astros are now 32-26. That is the second best record in the American League West. They now trail the Oakland Athletics by 2 games in the division. The Astros have now lost 4 of their last 6 games. Jumping out to Baltimore, the Baltimore Orioles hosted the Cleveland Indians, and the Cleveland Indians were able to mollywop the Orioles 10-4 after scoring 7 of their 10 runs in the first 3 innings. For the Baltimore Orioles, the start and the loss went to John Means. Means would allow 2 earned runs in .2 innings pitched as he struck out 1. With this loss, John Means is now 4-2. In their batting lineup, their center fielder Cedric Mullins, I believe, was the best hitter of the day. He went 5-for-5 with 2 RBIs and 3 runs as he would go on to hit his 7th and 8th home runs for the Baltimore Orioles this year. Their shortstop Freddie Galvis would go 2-for-4 with an RBI. And then their designated hitter Ryan Mountcastle would end up going 2-for-3 with an RBI and a run. Mountcastle hit his 8th home run of the season. For the Cleveland Indians, the start and the win went to Aaron Savali. He allowed 4 earned runs in 6 innings pitched as he struck out 4. In their batting lineup, their designated hitter, Cesar Hernandez, would go 2-for-5 with 2 RBIs and a run. He hit his 9th home run of the season. Their right fielder, Harold Ramirez, would end up going 3-for-5 with 2 RBIs and 3 runs. He hit his 3rd home run of the season. Their left fielder, Eddie Rosario, would go 3-for-5 with an RBI and a run. With this win, the Cleveland Indians are now 31-25. That is the second best record in the American League Central. They now trail the Chicago White Sox by 3 games in the division. The Indians have now won 5 of their last 10 games. With this loss, the Baltimore Orioles are now 20-38. That is the worst record in the American League East. That is the worst record in the American League as well. They now trail the Tampa Bay Rays by 16 games in the division, and the Orioles have now lost 7 of their last 10 games. Jumping out to Dallas, the Texas Rangers hosted the Tampa Bay Rays. The Rays were able to completely blank the Rangers thanks to Rich Hill. For the Texas Rangers in this matchup, the start and the loss went to Colby Allard. Allard allowed 2 earned runs in 5 innings pitched as he struck out 6. With this loss, Allard is 1-2 as a starting pitcher this year. Nobody on the Rangers was able to get more than 1 hit, and a lot of that can be attributed to great pitching from the Rays side. For the Rays, the start and the win went to their starting pitcher, Rich Hill. He allowed no earned runs and only 2 hits in 5 innings pitched as he struck out 3. The save will go to the Tampa Bay Rays' 4th relief pitcher, Diego Castillo. He would allow no earned runs in 1 inning pitched as he struck out all 3 of the batters that he had to had to get out. In their batting lineup, no one on the team had more than 1 hit. Their designated hitter, Austin Meadows, would go 1-for-4 with 2 RBIs on the day. And then Manuel Margot hit his 5th home run of the season as well. With this win, the Tampa Bay Rays are now 37-23. That is the best record in the American League East. That is the best record currently in the American League, and that is the second best record in the entire major leagues. They sit 1 game ahead of the second place Boston Red Sox within the division, and the Rays have now won 7 of their last 10 games. With this loss, the Texas Rangers are now 23-37. That is the worst record in the American League West. They now sit 12 games behind the Oakland Athletics within their division. The Rangers have now lost 9 of their last 10 games. Jumping out to Philadelphia, the Philadelphia Phillies hosted the Washington Nationals and were able to put up a 5-2 win at home after scoring 4 runs in the 4th inning. For the Washington Nationals, the start and the loss went to Joe Ross. It rhymed. He allowed no earned runs in 6 innings pitched as he struck out 4. With this loss, Joe Ross is now 2-6 as a starting pitcher. No one in the batting lineup was able to finish with more than 1 hit, but Josh Bell would hit his 8th home run of the season. For the Philadelphia Phillies, the start would go to their young pitcher, Spencer Howard. Howard would go on to allow no earned runs in 2.1 innings pitched as he struck out 2. The win would go to the Phillies' first relief pitcher, Ranger Suarez. Suarez would allow no earned runs in 3 innings pitched as he struck out 3. With this win, Suarez is 1-0 as a relief pitcher for Philly, and the save would end up going to the Philadelphia Phillies' 5th relief pitcher, Connor Brogdon. Brogdon would allow no earned runs in one inning pitched as he struck out 2. That's his first save of the year. In their batting lineup, no one on the team would finish with more than 1 hit. Their left fielder, former National League MVP Andrew McCutchen, will go 1 for 3 with 3 RBIs and a run as he hit his 10th home run of the season. With this win, the Philadelphia Phillies are now 27-30. That is the third best record in the National League East. They now trail the New York Mets by 4 games in the division. The Phillies have won 4 of their last 10 games. With this loss, the Washington Nationals are now 24-31. That is the 4th best record in the National League East. They now trail the New York Mets by 6 games in the division. The Nationals have now lost 7 of their last 10. Jumping out to Pittsburgh, the Pittsburgh Pirates hosted the Miami Marlins and were able to pull up an 8-7 win after they outscored the Marlins. They won in the 12th inning. The Pirates would outscore the Marlins 2-1 in the 3 innings of overtime, and it would end on a Jacob Stallings walk-off single. For the Miami Marlins in this matchup, the start would go to Trevor Rogers. Trevor Rogers would allow 2 earned runs in 6 innings pitched as he struck out 5. The loss would go to the Marlins' final relief pitcher, Adam Cimber. Cimber allowed no earned runs in .1 inning. He allowed 1 run. None of them. It wasn't earned in .1 inning pitched as he was unable to strike out a batter as well. With this loss, Cimber is now 1-2 as a relief pitcher for the Miami Marlins. In their batting lineup, their first baseman, Jesus Aguilar, will go 4 for 6 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs. He will go on to hit his 11th home run of the season yesterday. Their shortstop, Jazz Chisholm Jr., would go 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs and a run. Chisholm would hit his 7th home run of the season. Those are the only 2 players for the Marlins with more than 1 hit. For the Pittsburgh Pirates, the start would end up going to their young starting pitcher, Chase DeYoung. He would go on to allow 5 earned runs in 5 innings pitched as he struck out 5. Rich Rodriguez would actually blow the save, but the win would come 2 pitchers later with Clay Holmes. Holmes would go on to allow no earned runs in the 1 inning that he pitched as he was unable to strike out a batter. With this win, Holmes is 2-0 as a relief pitcher for the Pirates. In their batting lineup, their catcher, Jacob Stallings, would end up going 2 for 5 with an RBI and a run. He would go on to be the only player on the Pirates with more than 1 hit. With this win, though, the Pittsburgh Pirates are now 23-34. That is the worst record in the National League Central. They now trail the Milwaukee Brewers and the Chicago Cubs by 8.5 games in the division. The Pirates have now won 5 of their last 10 games. With this loss, the Miami Marlins are now 24-33. That is the worst record in the National League East. They now trail the New York Mets by 7 games in the division. The Miami Marlins have lost 9 of their last 10 games. Jumping out to Kansas City, the Kansas City Royals hosted the Minnesota Twins. The Twins would go on to beat the Royals 5-4 after going ahead in the 6th inning thanks to a 2-run home run from Miguel Sano. For the Kansas City Royals in this matchup, the start and the loss went to Mike Minor. He allowed 5 earned runs in 7 innings pitched as he struck out 5. With this loss, Mike Minor is now 4-3 as a starting pitcher for the Kansas City Royals. Their left fielder, Andrew Benintendi, would end up going 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a run as he hit his first triple of the season and his 6th home run of the season as well. And then their third baseman was the only other player with more than 1 hit. Kelvin Gutierrez would end up going 2 for 4 on the day. For the Minnesota Twins, the win went to Jose Berrios. Berrios would allow 4 earned runs in 6 innings pitched as he struck out 4. With this win, Berrios is now 6-2 as a starting pitcher for Minnesota. And the save for Minnesota would go to their third relief pitcher, Hansel Robles. He allowed no earned runs in 1 inning pitched, and with this save, he now has 5 on the year. In their batting lineup, their elite designated hitter, Nelson Cruz, was the only player with more than 1 hit as he went 2 for 3 with a run on the day. With this win, the Minnesota Twins are now 23-35. That is the worst record in the American League Central. They now sit 12 games behind the Chicago White Sox in the division, and the Twins have now won 4 of their last 10. With this loss, the Kansas City Royals are now 29-27. That is the 3rd best record in the American League Central. They sit 5 games behind the Chicago White Sox in the division. The Royals have only lost 4 of their last 10, including this one. Jumping out to Milwaukee, the Milwaukee Brewers hosted the Arizona Diamondbacks and were able to pull up a 7-5 win at home. The big difference, or I guess the Brewers would go back ahead in the 8th inning. I believe the best play of the day was Christian Yelich's go-ahead home run in the bottom of the 8th, and then Narvaez homered right after him. For the Arizona Diamondbacks in this matchup, the start would end up going to Merrill Kelly. Kelly allowed 4 earned runs in 6 innings pitched as he struck out 4. The loss would go to their relief pitcher, Joakim Soria. Soria would go on to allow 2 earned runs in 1 inning pitched as he struck out 1. With this loss, Soria is now 0-2 as a relief pitcher this year. Their second baseman, Miguel Rojas, would end up going, or Josh Rojas, would go 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs. Their center fielder, Ketel Marte, would go 2 for 5 with a run. Their third baseman, Eduardo Escobar, would end up going 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs and a run. Their first baseman, Pavin Smith, would go 2 for 3 with a run. And then their right fielder, Josh Reddick, would end up going 2 for 4 with an RBI. And then for the Milwaukee Brewers, the start went to Brandon Woodruff. He allowed 2 earned runs in 5 innings pitched as he struck out 9. The win will go to their elite young relief pitcher, Devin Williams, the former National League Rookie of the Year. He will go on to allow no earned runs in 1 inning pitched as he struck out 2. With this win, he is now 2-0 as a relief pitcher. The save would go to their elite closer, Josh Hader. Hader allowed no earned runs in 1 inning pitched as he struck out 1. With this save, he now has 14 on the year. In their batting lineup, their elite left fielder Christian Yelich would go 1 for 3 with an RBI and 2 runs. He now has 3 home runs on the year. Their catcher Omar Narvaez was the only player on the team with more than 1 hit. He went 3 for 4 with an RBI and 3 runs as he would go on to hit his 6th home run of the season. With this win, the Milwaukee Brewers are 32-26. They are tied with the Chicago Cubs for the best record in the National League Central. They have now won 8 of their last 10 games. They also sit a game and a half ahead of the Cardinals, just to give you a good sense of where they sit in the table. With this loss, the Arizona Diamondbacks are now 20-40. That is the worst record in the National League West. That is the worst record in the National League, and that is the worst record in the major leagues. They now trail the San Francisco Giants by 18 games in the division, and they have now lost 8 of their last 10 games. Mind you, it's June. Jumping out to San Francisco, speaking of them, the San Francisco Giants hosted the Chicago Cubs and were able to pull off a 4-3 win, scoring all 4 of their runs between the 3rd and 5th inning. For the Chicago Cubs in this matchup, the start and the loss would end up going to Cole Stewart. Stewart would allow 3 earned runs in 3.2 innings pitched as he struck out 5. With this loss, Cole Stewart is now 1-1 for the Cubs this year. Nobody on the Cubs have finished with more than 1 hit, and a lot of that can be attributed to great pitching from the San Francisco Giants side. The start and the win went to Kevin Gausman. He allowed no earned runs in 7 innings pitched. He allowed no earned runs. He had 2 runs on him, but he struck out 10 batters. With this win, Kevin Gausman is now 7-0. And then the save, however, would go to Tyler Rogers, their submarine pitcher. He would allow no earned runs in 1 inning pitched as he struck out 1. That's his 8th save of the year. In their batting lineup, their shortstop, Brandon Crawford, would go 2 for 4 with an RBI. And then their catcher, Chadwick Tromp, would go 2 for 4 with an RBI. With this win, the San Francisco Giants are 37-21. That is the best record in the National League West. That is the best record in the National League, and that is the best record in the major leagues. They now sit 2 games ahead of the San Diego Padres in the division, and they have now won 8 of their last 10 games. With this loss, the Chicago Cubs are now 32-26. They are now tied with the Milwaukee Brewers for the best record in the National League Central. They now sit 1.5 games ahead of the 3rd place St. Louis Cardinals in the division. The Cubs have now lost 4 of their last 10 games. Jumping out to Atlanta, the Atlanta Braves hosted the defending champs Los Angeles Dodgers, and the Braves pulled off a 6-4 win after scoring 5 runs in the 3rd inning. For the Dodgers in this matchup, the start and the loss went to their goated starting pitcher, Clayton Kershaw. Kershaw would allow 5 earned runs in 6 innings pitched as he struck out 9. With this loss, Clayton Kershaw is now 7-5 as a starting pitcher for the Dodgers. Nobody on the team would finish with more than 1 hit, and a lot of that can go to just great pitching from Atlanta. For the Atlanta Braves, the start and the win went to Charlie Morton. Morton would go on to allow 2 earned runs in 5 innings pitched as he struck out 5 on the day. With this win, Charlie Morton is now 5-2. The save will go to Will Smith, their closer. Will Smith would allow no earned runs in 1 inning pitch as he struck out 3. This is his 10th save of the year. In their batting lineup, their elite first baseman, reigning National League MVP, Freddie Freeman, would go 2 for 3 with an RBI and a run. Their third baseman, Austin Riley, would be the only other player with more than 1 hit. He went 2 for 4 with a run run on the day. With this win, the Atlanta Braves are now 27-29. That is the second best record in the National League East. They now trail the New York Mets by 3.5 games in the division, and they have now won 5 of their last 10 games. With this loss, the Los Angeles Dodgers are now 34-24. That is the best record. That is the third best record in the National League West. They now trail the San Francisco Giants by 3 games in the division. The Dodgers have now lost 6 of their last 10 games at the moment. Jumping out to Yankee Stadium, the New York Yankees hosted the Boston Red Sox for what many believe is the best rivalry in all sports. In this matchup, the Red Sox would end up beating the Yankees 7-3 after scoring 4 of their runs in the 8th inning in order to just escape and pick up their 35th win of the season. For the New York Yankees in this matchup, the start would go to Jameson Taillon. Taillon would go on to allow 3 earned runs in 5.1 innings pitched as he struck out 3. The loss would go to their second relief pitcher, Chad Green. Green would go on to allow 4 earned runs in .2 innings pitched. He was able to strike out a batter, but with this loss, Chad Green is 0-4 as a relief pitcher for the Yankees. In their batting lineup, their third baseman, Gio Urshela, would go 2-for-4 with a run. Their elite shortstop, Gleyber Torres, would hit his 3rd home run of the season as he went 1-for-3 with 3 RBIs and a run. For the Boston Red Sox in this matchup, the start would end up going to Eduardo Rodriguez. Rodriguez would allow 3 earned runs in 5.1 innings pitched as he struck out 7. The win in the blown save, for that matter, would go to their first relief pitcher, Garrett Whitlock. Whitlock would allow no earned runs in 1.2 innings pitched as he struck out 2. With this win, he is now 1-1 as a relief pitcher. And then the save would go to Matt Barnes. Matt Barnes would allow no earned runs as he only got 1 player out via strikeout. That's his 14th save of the year. For the Red Sox, their left fielder, Alex Verdugo, would go 2-for-4 with a run. Their third baseman, Rafael Devers, would end up going 2-for-5 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs. And then, their right fielder, Hunter Renfroe, would go 2-for-4. And last but not least, their catcher, Christian Vasquez, would end up going 2-for-4 with an RBI and a run. With this win, the Boston Red Sox are now 35-23. That is that's the second best record in the American League East. They now trail the Tampa Bay Rays by a game in the division. The Red Sox have now won 6 of their last 10 games. With this loss, the New York Yankees are now 31-28. That is the 4th best record in the American League East. They now trail the Tampa Bay Rays by 5.5 games in the division. The Yankees have lost 7 of their last 10 games. Jumping out to Denver, the Colorado Rockies. They've hosted the Oakland Athletics, and the Athletics were able to beat the Rockies 6-3 to pick up their 35th win of the season. For the Colorado Rockies in this matchup, the start and the loss went to Kyle Freeland. He allowed 5 earned runs in 5 innings pitched as he struck out only 1 batter on the day. He is now 0-1 as the Colorado Rockies starting pitcher. Their left fielder, Raimel Tapia, would go 2-for-5 with a run, and then their elite right fielder, Charlie Blackmon, would go 2-for-4 with a run. Last but not least, their pinch hitter, Brendan Rodgers, would end up going 2-for-2 with 2 RBIs and a run as he had his first home run of the season for the Colorado Rockies. For the Oakland Athletics, the start went to Cole Irvin. Cole Irvin would allow 1 earned run in 6 innings pitched as he struck out 5. With his win, Cole Irvin is now 4-7 on the season. And the save would go to the Oakland A's closer, Lou Trevino. Trevino would go on to allow no earned runs in 1 inning pitch as he struck out 1. With this save, he now has 8 on the year. In this batting lineup, there's center fielder Mark Cannon would go 3-for-5 with an RBI and a run. Their left fielder, who would be Chad Pinder, would end up going 2-for-5 with an RBI and 2 runs. He had his 3rd home run of the year yesterday. Their first baseman, Matt Olson, would go 1-for-3 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs. And then the last player with more than 1 hit for the A's was Jed Lowry. He went 2-for-4 on the day. With this win, the Oakland Athletics are now 35-25. That is the best record in the American League West. They now sit 2 games ahead of the second-place Houston Astros in the division. The A's have now won 7 of their last 10 games. With this loss, the Colorado Rockies are now 23-36. That is the 4th best record in the National League West. They now sit 14.5 games behind the San Francisco Giants in the division. The Rockies have now lost 6 of their last 10 games. Not looking the best for them. Jumping out to Anaheim, the Los Angeles Angels hosted the Seattle Mariners. After the Mariners put up 5 runs in the 4th, the Angels would eventually pass them in the 6th and then run away and score 5 runs of their own in the 8th. They won this game 12-5. For the Seattle Mariners, the start would end up going to Yusei Kikuchi. He allowed 2 earned runs in 4 innings pitched as he struck out 8. The loss would go to the Mariners' second relief pitcher, Drew Steckenrider. Steckenrider would go on to allow 2 earned runs in 1 inning pitched, as he was unable to strike out a batter. He would blow his first save of the season, and he would pick up his second loss of the season. He is now 2-2 as a relief pitcher. In their batting lineup, the start and the win would end up going to Alex Cobb. Cobb would allow 5 earned runs in 7 innings pitched as he struck out 6. With this win, Cobb is now 4-2 as a starting pitcher. Their left fielder, Justin Upton, will go 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs. He would have a pretty good game for himself. Their designated hitter, Shohei Ohtani, will go 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs and a run. He hit his 16th home run of the season yesterday. Their elite third baseman, Anthony Rendon, will go 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs on the day for himself. Their catcher, who in this matchup was Max Stassi. Stassi would end up going 2 for 5 with an RBI and 2 runs. He had his second home run of the season. Their first baseman, Jared Walsh, would go 2 for 4 with 2 runs. Their center fielder, Juan Lagares, would go 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a run. And then their right fielder, Taylor Ward, would go 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs. He had his 5th home run of the season yesterday. With this win, the Los Angeles Angels are now 27-31. That is currently the 4th best record in the American League West. They now trail the Oakland Athletics by 7 games in the division. The A's have now won 6 of their last 10 games. With this loss, the Seattle Mariners are now 29-31. That is the 3rd best record in the American League West. They now trail the Oakland Athletics by 6 games in the division. The Mariners have now only lost 4 of their last 10 games, thanks in due part thanks to what the Angels did last night. Last but not least, staying within the state and jumping down to San Diego, the San Diego Padres hosted the New York Mets, and Jacob deGrom would put on yet another virtuoso performance as the Mets shut out the Padres 4-0. For the San Diego Padres, the start and the loss would end up going to their starting pitcher, Joe Musgrove. Musgrove would allow 3 earned runs in 5 innings pitched as he struck out 10. With this loss, Joe Musgrove is 4-5 as a starting pitcher for the Padres. Nobody on the team would have more than 1 hit, and a lot of that can be attributed to just amazing Mets pitching. The start and the win went to their elite starting pitcher, multiple-time National League Cy Young winner Jacob deGrom. He allowed no earned runs in 7 innings pitched, only allowing 3 hits in those 7 innings. He would only walk 1 and strike out 11 as he was yesterday's best pitcher. With this win, Jacob deGrom is now 5-2 as a starting pitcher for the New York Mets this season. In their batting lineup, their elite shortstop, Francisco Lindor, would go 2 for 5 with an RBI and 2 runs. He had his 5th home run of the season yesterday. Their center fielder, Kevin Pillar, would end up going 2 for 5 with an RBI and a run for himself. And then the only other player with more than 1 hit was their pinch-hitting third baseman, Jonathan Villar. He would go 2 for 3 with an RBI on the day. With this win, the New York Mets are now 28-23. That is the best record in the National League East. They now sit 3.5 games ahead of the second-place Atlanta Braves in the division. The Mets have now won 7 of their last 10 games. With this loss, the San Diego Padres are now 36-24. They've won 60% of their games. That is the 2nd best record in the National League West. And that's also the 2nd best record in the National League as a whole. They sit 2 games behind the first-place San Francisco Giants in the division, and the Padres have now lost 6 of their last 10 games. They've still won 60% of their games. So right now, that was what the MLB is looking like following yesterday's games as we transition into today's games. And in order to take it from the top, I guess before going in, it's worth knowing that a lot of Sunday games are early because they have to travel for their Monday game. So looking at the very top, at 1:05, Jorge Lopez and the Baltimore Orioles are going to host Cal Quantrill and the Cleveland Indians. So far, Cal Quantrill sporting an 0-1 record with a 2.08 ERA thus far. At 1:05, Chad Kuhl and the Pittsburgh Pirates are going to host Sandy Alcantara and the Miami Marlins. At the same time, Vince Velasquez and the Philadelphia Phillies are going to host the Washington Nationals at Citizens Bank Park. At 1:07, Steven Matz and the Toronto Blue Jays are going to host Luis Garcia and the Houston Astros in Salem Field in Buffalo. For the Toronto Blue Jays, or for Steven Matz's start right now, he's sporting a 6-2 record as he has a 4.22 ERA. And Luis Garcia for Houston is currently sporting a a 4-3 record alongside a 2.89 ERA. At 120, the Atlanta Braves will host the defending World Series champs Los Angeles Dodgers. Max Fried will take the mound for Atlanta. Right now, he's not off to the start that he believes he should be getting off to. And taking the mound for the defending champs Los Angeles Dodgers is Trevor Bauer, last year's National League Cy Young winner. Right now, he's sporting a 6-3 record alongside a 2.24 ERA. At 2:10, Corbin Burns and the Milwaukee Brewers are going to host Caleb Smith and the Arizona Diamondbacks. At the same time, Dylan Cease and the Chicago White Sox are going to host Jose Urena and the Detroit Tigers at 2:10. At the same time, Brady Singer and the Kansas City Royals are going to host the Minnesota Twins, led by Bailey Ober, who has yet to get a win this year. At 2:15 on ESPN+, John Gant and the St. Louis Cardinals are going to host Wade Miley and the Cincinnati Reds. John Gant sporting a 4-3 record alongside a 1.60 ERA. Wade Miley with a 5-4 record, starting alongside a 3.26 ERA. At 2:35, Dane Dunning and the Texas Rangers are going to host Michael Wacha and the Tampa Bay Rays. At 3:10, German Marquez and the Colorado Rockies are going to host James Kaprielian and the Oakland A's. James Kaprielian currently sporting a 2-0 record alongside a 2.95 ERA. At 4:05, Johnny Cueto and the San Francisco Cubs are going to host Kyle Hendricks and the Johnny Cueto and the San Francisco Giants are going to host Kyle Hendricks and the Chicago Cubs. Cueto currently sporting a 4-1 record alongside a 3.45 ERA. At 4:07, Patrick Sandoval and the Los Angeles Angels are going to host Logan Gilbert and the Seattle Mariners. At 4:10, the San Diego Padres, led by Chris Paddock, are going to host New York Mets, led by Marcus Stroman. At 7 o'clock on ESPN, last but not least, the New York Yankees, led by their 4-3 starting pitcher Domingo Germán, are going to take the mound against the Boston Red Sox, led by their 4-4 pitcher Garrett Richards. With this said, that is what the MLB is looking like. And then last but not least, I think it's also worth knowing that the Logan Paul and Floyd Mayweather fight is tonight, and of course I'm probably going to start my episode with it tomorrow, but today looks to be a day that's going to be filled with a lot of action. And with that said, I want to thank everyone for listening to all 36 minutes of this piece. I hope all is well. I want to thank ESPN and MLB.com respectively for helping me find out what I need to find. But with that said, I want to thank everyone for listening to this piece. I hope all is well. Today is Sunday, June 6th, 2021 out here in this quarantine. And once all of today's matchups and exhibitions are over, I will come back tomorrow on Monday, June 7th for another installment of The Elite. And until then, thanks for listening to this piece and stay elite. Peace out.